Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, everyone. In today's we will discuss about case study on topic Parmalat based on Parmalat case. So I will act as a first speaker. My name is Nursyafiqah Alya binti Latif. My matrix number is 01D81F1009. And next, we will continue by Sarah. Then Izzati, and lastly is Noor Ain. Okay. Then I will start on discuss about first question about actions committed by Parmalat that can be charged as criminal fraud. Okay. First, I will explain what is actually a criminal fraud. Okay. Criminal fraud is defined as a strategy or deceive another person or entity in order to earn financial or similar form of benefit. Is classified as white collar crime. Criminal fraud is defined as any activity designed to deceive someone or by doing false representation of fact that leads to legal damage to the individual who rely on the information. There are criminal fraud detected in Parmalat's case as mentioned. First, Parmalat falsified their financial accounts to the amount of billions of dollars. Then, company's founder and former CEO is now accused of market rigging, falsifying audits, and deceiving investors and stock market regulators. The case raises a number of ethical issues impact all stakeholders. Then we can conclude that this action shows that Parmalat deceives the investors in order to fulfill their self-interest. And Parmalat's actions can bring loss to their investors. This is very unethical, and for company to do such dishonest behavior. Okay, then I found the second activities that I found that Parmalat did some criminal fraud is Parmalat did a fraudulent action that Parmalat perpetrated. One such company, Parmalat alleged that it was owed 767 million dollar USD by a Cuban firm that had ordered 300,000 tons of powdered milk. This money was then alleged to be owed to Parmalat. The entire transaction, however, did not exist and was created just to maintain the illusion of liquidity of Parmalat. It shows that Parmalat do false representation in the company's liquidity just to deceive their future investor. They want to attract their future investor, but at the same time they deceive them. That maybe the future investor rely on the report, right? So they deceive their future investor by doing this kind of illusion. Then, honestly, Parmalat used various tactics to understate its debt, including first, they eliminate approximately 3.3 billion euro of debt held by one of its nominee entities. Then second, they are reporting approximately 1 billion euro debt of equity through fictitious loan participation agreements. Then third, they are removing approximately 500 million euro of liabilities by falsely describing the sales of certain receivables as non-recourse, but in fact, the company retained an obligation to ensure that the receivables were ultimately paid. Fourth, they improperly eliminating approximately 300 million euro of debt associated with a Brazilian subsidiary during the sale of subsidiary. And five, they are miscapitalizing approximately 300 million euro of bank debt as intercompany debt, thereby inappropriate eliminating it in consolidation. And sixth, eliminating approximately 200 million euro of Parmalat SPD payables at top as though they had been paid when in fact they had not. And lastly, they including penalty of approximately 400 million euro associated with a corruption. All of these actions meet the several elements of criminal fraud. For example, there is elements in the as major fact mispresentation. Then there a person a person or entity that relied legitimately on a mispresentation of fact, and as a result of the reliance of the erroneous fact, the individual or entity experience actual hurt or damages. Okay, that is all from me. And now we continue by Siti Sarah.
Thank you, Nursyafiqah Alya. Okay, my name is Siti Binti Rushdi. My metric number is 01 DAT 19F1010. For the question 1, B, the question is describe the defense auditors Deloitte Grant Thornton may use against Parmalat third-party lawsuit if the auditor were sued for negligence. So the introduction, the bankruptcy administrator for Italian food retailer Parmalat has brought a negligence suit against Parmalat auditors Deloitte and Touch and Grant Thornton. The lawsuit filed in state court by Administrator Enrico Bondi seeks damage that third parties believed to have played a role in Parmalat collapse, including the auditors. So both companies issue statements stating that the charges are baseless and pledging to fight the suit. So when this happened, the defense to auditors went against Parmalat third party lawsuit if they were sued for so first had failed to properly determine that Rowling and that did not exist. The auditor relied upon the document that Parmalat fed to them but did not independently confirm whether those companies exist or not. However, the defendant auditor successful used the defense of contributory negligence. The auditor state that Parmalat CFO Faustin Tona, who had been contributory negligence because they produced fake documents that then fed to the auditors in order to falsify the existence of the subsidiary. For the second, the defendant auditor can use the defense of the negligence and inevitable accident. So it is referring to an accident that had no chance of being prevented by the exercise of ordinary care, caution, and skill. The auditor, so in this case, the auditor accidentally sent a confirmation to the Bank of America through Parmalat Internal Mail Service. From that, it was intercepted and a favorable response was forwarded by the CFO Faustin Tona on Scan Bank of America letterhead. For the third, um, in cases Deloitte failed to locate or audit what is referred to as account 999, which held that the debit of 8 million representing the trash bin for all fake revenue, assets, and profit that Parmalat had accumulated over the years. So in these cases, the auditor can't find that supported document to be evidence in auditing the financial statement of that company. So for the defense that can use is Parmalat was contributory negligent. It is because they cover up the fake transaction that their interests were transformed into intercompany loans and credit. And for the last that I get from these cases is the auditor failed to discover the cash. So when it is happened, Parmalat used this reason to suit the negligence. It happened because it had been misstated by billion euro, and that Parmalat that was 8 times what was claimed. So the auditor relied upon the profit that the company showed to them and did not apply aggressive annual audit procedure. So when this happened, the auditor successful used the defense of assumption of the risk and and contributory negligence. So from this, the auditor state that the client had assumed the risk that an auditor will not guarantee that employee fraud will be uncovered by the audit, and that the client had been contributory negligent because it had failed to exercise the company's profit correctly. Uh, Sebab the truth is Pramanet had been profitable for only 1 year between 1990 and 2002, but Pramana had claimed to be profitable all those years. So conclusion is auditors have a reputation to be independent, competent and honest to provide their opinion on the truthfulness of a company's financial statement. Their word is heavily relied upon by others. It is important that the auditors maintain their independence and the credibility of the audit provision. Auditors sometimes fail to exercise sufficient care and skill in carry out their audit work. So, consequence, fraud or material error might not be discovered during the time of audit. So that's all from me. I will pass to Nur Izzati to continue.
Thank you, Siti Sarah. Okay, my name is Nurul Izzati binti Rosli, and my metric number 01 D80 19 F1007. Okay, for the next question, describe the specific audit procedure that might have uncovered from Parmalat fraud. The first fraud that I can see Parmalat default on 187 million bond, and it was look like strange because the successful company could be unable to repay its debt, and this was by seeing that Parmalat claim to have a cash balance on $4.9 billion in a Bank of America accounts of a Parmalat subsidiary in the Cayman Islands. And however, later it was reported that no such account was existed, and the amount of assets were missing. And for the audit procedure that should cover is confirmation. The auditor should begin by confirming the account balance listed as the balance per bank on the top of the reconciliation for each bank account from each bank that the client use for business. And the auditor also should examine the correctness of the auditing documents. The second fraud that I can see is Deloitte was not able to uncover account 999, which was the key to the detecting the fraud. The account also was used as a trash bin for all the fakest revenues, asset and profit that Parmalat had obtained over the years. The audit procedure that I can see should the auditor cover its existence, which is there should have been an internal investigation right away when some of the other Deloitte Global Office sense a risk of a fraud in the Parmalat affair. And the next fraud is the Security and Exchange Commission charged the Parmalat with securities fraud because Parmalat was overstated cash and marketable securities by at least 2.4 billion euros. And as for the years end 2003, Parmalat was overstated its asset by at least 4.9 billion dollars. And the auditor should cover the audit procedure of recalculation, which is the auditor will try to cross-check the information presented by the Security Exchange Commission and try to examining the overstated figure in cash and marketable security document. And any valuation or allocation should be recorded in appropriate amount and try to compare all the totals. That's all from me, and I will pass to Noor Ain to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Izzati. My name is Noor Ain Binti Razalli and my matric number is 0119F1001. Next question is purpose change in Parmalat's control system and corporate governance structure to mitigate the risk of accounting and business fraud in future years. First is hire an auditor from a specific firm or be hired under a control, and they could be people alternative every specific period to avoid misstatement and financial. For example, there is a misstatement that the independent director for prospector in Milan found, and this misstatement had not been noticed by Grant Thornton and Deloitte. Second is Parmalat should establish effective audit committed to review and liaise with external auditors Grant Thornton for the tenure of service contract which went for 9 years. The other reason is composition of the board committee of Parmalat was weak. It is because board audit committee and remuneration committee was completely dependent on Tanzi family. Third, the bank should be more passive when giving out loans to business. And they should have government officials checking to make sure all the people working at the bank are also honest and not doing any illegal work. Fourth is the Parmalat board should be more accountable to its shareholders so that they do not publish financial statement to appear as if the entity is an ongoing and viable effort to make long-term investment decisions. For example, the board of directors never asks questions and placing too much faith in the integrity of Parmalat manager and competence of auditor. Lastly is the position of the board chair and CEO at Parmalat should be separate because as we can see, Tanzi held both of the position. It is difficult to effectively execute the role of board chair and CEO under one person as has been demonstrated by the case of Parmalat. A single CEO and chair cannot perform this task apart from his or her personal interests, making it more difficult for the board to perform its criminal function if and when the CEO is its chair. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ain. Now, I'll explain on 2A, which is corporate governance for public firms that could be practiced by Parmalat to ensure the integrity of management and financial reporting. We will not compromise. Okay, first, the starting point for this, it said that but management of Parmalat should carry some critical duties such as assessing and leading corporate risk policy and ensuring that suitable risk management systems are in place and comply with the law and relevant standards. And in ensuring the integrity of essential reporting and monitoring systems would require the board establishing and enforcing clear lines of authority and accountability throughout the organization. The board also need to guarantee that top management provides enough monitoring. Then Parmalat should disclose material information on all matters described in the OECD principles of corporate governance and focus on areas significant concerns for the state as an owner and the general public. Disclosure of key risk factors is especially important when Pamalat operates in newly deregulated and increasingly internationalized industries that face plenty of leverage as political, operational, and currency rate concerns. If major factors are not adequately reported, the Pamalat's financial status and other performance may be misrepresented. This will turn in poor strategic decisions and unforeseen financial losses. Analysts report in accordance with new and changing requirements, and all of balance sheet assets and liabilities should be disclosed. When necessary, such reporting might include risk management plans as well as the procedures put in place to implement them. Companies, the extractive industry should publish their reserves in accordance with industry best practices, as this may be a key element of their value and risk profile. And I think that is all from me, and maybe that is all from us for this discussion. And before we end this discussion, we would like to thank you for being participating in this discussion.